So good evening, Sophie. Welcome. And today we are going to complete our BTR. Okay. BTR, there's only one example left, one situation where a person doesn't even know he only knows his place of birth. He doesn't even know which year he was born in. He has a rough idea. You could be born in 51, 52, 53. He has a rough idea. Okay.
Mhm.
So what do we do? How do we fix up his year and then date and then time of birth? Three things we have to fix up.
Mhm.
His
Mhm.
year, his date, that means date, that means first you have to fix up the month and then the date in that month. First the year you have to fix up and then you have to fix up the month, okay? And then
Mhm.
you have to fix up in that month you have to fix up the date and on that date you have to fix up his time. So what are we, for as I told you in my notes, if you see in my write-up, what will you track when you have to fix up the year of birth? Which planet are you going to track?
Jupiter.
Jupiter. You have to track the movement of Jupiter because Jupiter stays in one, in one zodiac sign or in one Rashi for approximately 1 year, 12 to
Mhm.
13 months. So that is how we track, where that is how we fix up the year of birth. Okay. And then after that, once we have the year, then we have to fix up the month of birth. Okay.
Mhm.
So to fix up the month of birth, what do we track? What do we have?
Sun.
Sun. We
Sun.
have to track the movement of the sun. Once we have the movement of the sun, that means that means we have established the year now and the month of his birth in that particular the given year, whatever we have fixed up. Once we have the month, then we have to fix up the date
Moon.
in
Yeah.
that particular month, which we will do by tracking the
Moon.
movement of the moon. Okay. And once we have fixed up the date, then we have to fix up the time of birth. So this is how we go along. As I told you, it's a ladder. It's step by
Mm.
step. If you're coming from above, then either you are depends on the example. For the for the time you have to track the ascendant. For the date you have to track the moon. For the month you have to track the sun, and for the year you have to track Jupiter. Okay, so that is how we go about this. So this is an example where this person didn't know anything but for his time of birth. So I tried to fix up his. This is not birth time rectification, although we call it BTR, but it is fixing up the time of birth. Okay, establishing
Mhm.
everything, not rectification. Rectification means correction, but it falls under the same. Fixing up his birth particulars. Let us put it that way. So I share a screen with you. Okay, I share a
Mhm.
screen with you, and we'll see how this is done. Okay, and you remember one thing I told you: whenever you are trying to do BTR, then whatever information that person gives you, whatever is known to him, what his mother has told him, or what his father has told him, or what the elders in the village or his place of birth may have told him, some near relative, some close relative, like uncle, aunt, elders would have told him you were born close to this festival, which falls in a particular given month, sort of a thing. So that you have to note down as an extraneous factor. You have to use it. Okay.
Mhm.
Somebody will tell like I told you, I think I gave this example. I fixed up the time of birth of a Muslim gentleman who was born in Mumbai. So his mother had told him, on the day you were born, the time you were born, the time you were born, this namaz was being read in the masjid. Muslims, they read the namaz. And in India, I don't know if it is there in Cambodia or not, there will be a loudspeaker in the masjid. And the mullah, he'll be reading out that Allahu Akbar thing. It will
I
come
think
on
it's
the
the same thing.
loudspeaker.
Yeah.
So, and that is, in a given month, the time for that is fixed on a daily basis. So that will be for that, it'll be on. So at least, if the mother says the evening namaz was going on, so you have a rough idea of the time when he could have been born. So all these extraneous factors you have to take into consideration. Okay.
Mhm.
So with this background, now I'll open the chart. Okay, with this background. So let's see how to go. Let's see how to go about it. Uh, okay, I'm opening the screen. Okay.
So do you can you read palm? Do you do palm reading?
No, no, I do a bit of it, not much. So I don't I no I don't I know a bit of it. So I will not say that
I want to learn. I think I can learn anything from you.
No, I'll teach you Vedic astrology. I won't teach you palm reading because I do it, but not as a professional. I can, I
Mm.
just as an amateur because I know astrology and I know the basics of palm reading. So you can sort of combine both, your palm and your horoscope and tell you things, but not very accurately. I'll be very honest with you. So anyway, so I'm opening the screen now. Okay.
Mhm.
So now see, if you can see here. See, can you read what is written?
Yes, BTR when only place of birth is known,
And
and the native is not sure of the year of birth.
okay, he's in this case he's not sure. Maybe he doesn't know at all. This could also, but even if he doesn't know his year of birth, here he was confused between 1950 and 1951. Okay. So
Mhm.
maybe even if he doesn't know year of birth, only approximate, he says I could in the early 50s, he says I could be born in the early 50s, the
Mhm.
first half of the 50s. So that means 50 to 55. That case also you will same you will proceed with the same procedure. Okay, you'll go ahead with the same procedure. So anyway, so this is a case where this gentleman, he came to me and he did not know. He only knew his time and place of birth. So rest of the things I have written. Okay, now date of birth particulars provided. 1 minute. I'll just change the. Okay, now here we go. Okay, date of birth particulars provided by the native. Place of birth is Purnia, Bihar, a place in India. Purnia is a place in India. Okay. So year of birth is 1950 or 1951, as per the gentleman. And in brackets, I have written another extraneous but important information given by the mother was that he was born about 10 to 15 days
Mhm.
after Holi. Holi is a
Mhm.
festival in India. Okay,
Okay.
which is generally celebrated, during sometime it will be sometimes it is March, sometimes it may be April. So if you can establish the year in this case, if you can first establish the year, for that year you can check up in through Google, when Holi was celebrated in say this place in India, it'll be almost the same in Purnia, whatever the place is given that year, that you will get. So the mother said that he was born about 10 to 15 days after that festival, in whichever year that we are going to establish. So that is to be treated. That's an important information that this gentleman has shared. Okay, shared with us. So it is to be used. Whatever extraneous information you get, it is to be used. Okay. So now in such cases where the astrologer has to first establish the year of birth, okay, we have to ascertain the same from the position of Jupiter in the zodiac for the given years. For the given years, he has given 2 years. So for both, we have to check the position of Jupiter, and see in which year Jupiter was in the position or on the sensitive points coinciding with the ruling planets obtaining at the time of judgment or at the time doing BTR. Okay. What are the sensitive points? They are simply the ruling planets. Okay. So now
Okay.
the ruling planets are given as under. The BTR exercise was undertaken by me at Ranchi on 15/3/2021 at 7:03:41 a.m. Okay. And here are the ruling planets. These are the ruling planets. Okay. You can note down the ruling planets, or you can take a photo and keep it.
Yeah. My screenshot.
Take a snap and keep it.
Yeah. A moment, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I have it.
Okay. Now, step number 1. Okay, all this we have studied before, but then by way of example, how do we go about it? Step number 1. To establish the year of birth, we have to see through the ephemeris in which of the two possible years given by the native. The two possible years given by the native are 1950 and 1951. So we have to go to the ephemeris, okay, for 1950 and 51. In which we have to see to establish the year of birth. See, I'm here. Establish a birth, we have to see through the ephemeris in which of the two possible years given by the native Jupiter would be in a Rashi that contains the maximum number of planets in it by way of Rashi Lord, Star Lord, and Sub Lord. See, we have to see where Jupiter was, in 1950 and 51, and which of those Jupiter would be either in one Rashi or it could be in two, because it remains in one Rashi for 12 to 13. So it could have crossed into another Rashi during that year. So if we are getting two Rashis, okay, or two zodiac signs, out of that we have to see maximum which are the star lords, that are coinciding with our ruling planets. So that will be the year. That will be chosen as the year of birth. In whichever years Jupiter is in a Rashi, the maximum star lords of which are coinciding with our ruling planets. Okay? Getting me?
You said that Jupiter can be in two Rasi in a year. So
say, suppose I'll tell you. Suppose on 1st January 2021. Okay. I'm just hypothetically speaking, 1st January 2000. No, forget that. No, see, mid-year, say 2021, Jupiter enters, say in May or June, Jupiter enters any Rashi. Take, for example, Capricorn. It enters Capricorn. So, till when is it going to stay in Capricorn?
1 year?
Yeah, till when? Suppose it enters Capricorn in June 2021. Then
Say
approximately
June 22.
June 22, that means it is going to change its Rashi.
Okay, yeah.
It's going to change its Rashi. So if we have to choose between 2000, suppose the native is saying I was born in either 2021 or 2022. Okay. Then Jupiter would be either, okay, forget that. Now, suppose in this particular example, let's take it that way to make it clearer for you.
I think I confused myself, sir. I try to visualize a chart where Jupiter is in two Rasi, and it never happened, right?
No, it will happen. It can happen, no?
Oh.
In one given year, Jupiter, suppose there's a choice of 2 years. Suppose we have to choose between 1950 and 51. Suppose, for half of 1950, Jupiter was in, say, Aquarius. And then 1951, it was in after Aquarius, Pisces. Okay.
Yeah.
So then now we have 1950 and 1951. And we have ruling planets on which side? On one side. So in in Aquarius, what are the star lords that are going to be there in Aquarius? You have not learnt it. Okay. So it is going to be, it is going to be Jupiter. It is going to be, uh, it is going to be,
Mars,
okay. Yeah, Mars, Rahu, and
Jupiter.
Jupiter. These are the three star lords. That is, say, suppose 1950. And
Mm-hmm.
then it crosses into Pisces in, say, 1951. Then in
Yeah.
Pisces, we have Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to see in which year, Jupiter was in the Rashi, which is the star lords of which are coinciding with our ruling planets, or the
Mm-hmm.
stronger of the ruling planets. That is the year that we have to pick as the year of birth. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we'll show it by we'll take when I explain it by this example, you'll understand more. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a step to establish the year of birth. We have now you've got the concept or not?
Yes, yes, I understand. I understand
Okay.
that concept.
We have to see through the ephemeris in which of the two possible years given by the native, Jupiter would be in a Rashi that contains the maximum number of planets in it by way of Rashi Lord, Star Lord, and Sub Lord, okay, which are common with the ruling planets identified as above. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is the first step. As a
Mm-hmm.
first step, I opened the ephemeris for 1951 for
Mm-hmm.
1951 and identified that Jupiter entered Pisces. Now, look here, pay attention. For 1951, Jupiter entered Pisces on 14/3/1951. Okay, it is
Mm-hmm.
going to stay there for 1 year. It enters Pisces in 14/3/1951. So, what does that mean? Where would I before 1951? In which Rashi would Jupiter have been for 1950? If it is
It's
entering Pisces on 14th March 1951,
Aquarius. Aquarius.
it would have been in Aquarius. And it is going to stay in 1951 for the entire year, 1951. Okay. So we will have I'm telling you in advance anyway, and would stay in it till 13/3/1950, 31/3/1952. This is from the ephemeris, I could see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That it is going to be there from 14/3/51 to 31/3/1952. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
the choice we have to make is between 1950 and 51, not 52. Okay. Now
Mm,
let
yeah,
us
yeah, yeah.
check.
Got it.
Now let us check out Pisces as a Rashi to see how many of the RPs it contains. Now, what are the you keep the RPs in front of you? Okay. So Rashi Lord Jupiter, Pisces Rashi Lord is Jupiter. Lord of Pisces is Jupiter only, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Star Lords. How many star lords does it have? Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
Out of these, Jupiter and Mercury are common with our RPs. Have you noted down the RPs?
Yes. So
Jupiter and
Mercury is there.
Mercury are common with our RPs. Now, if
Yes.
going
Mm-hmm.
back by 1 year, Jupiter
Okay.
would have been in Aquarius before this, okay? As you said rightly.
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius has Rashi Lord as Saturn. Who's the Lord of Aquarius? It is Saturn. Star
Saturn, yes.
Lord, Star Lords are
Mars.
Mars, Rahu, and Jupiter. So
Mm-hmm.
out of these four, only Jupiter appears as an RP. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas in
Yes.
Pisces, we get both Jupiter and Mercury as RPs. So it was decided that 1951 was the year of birth. Got it?
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
This is clear, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay, this is clear. Now, step two, to establish the month of birth. Now we have established the year of birth as 1951. So, done?
One question.
Yeah.
So now we need to recycle the RP again, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Now the ruling planets are refreshed. Okay.
Yeah.
This is sort of you've you've hit the refresh button. Okay. Ruling planets are refreshed. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now to establish the month of birth. Okay, after that, we have seen an example, so it will be clearer. We have to now find out in which month 1951, month of 1951, Sun would be transiting the sensitive points or the luring planets as identified by us. So now Sun goes around the zodiac once in a year. So that means in once in those 12 months, Sun would be transiting through all the zodiac signs. Sun stays in one sign for 1 month. Okay.
Okay, got that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
would be transiting sensitive points of the RPs as identified by us. Sun in the ephemeris. Now look, this is very important. Okay. Sun, please pay attention. Sun in the ephemeris was found to be in Pisces. That is Jupiter, Mercury on 6/4/1951. Okay. So the month of birth was identified as April 1951. No, no. You have to raise a question. I told you, no, that Sun 1951 Sun would be transiting through all the ruling planet. Is all sorry, all the zodiac signs. But I have fixed up April, where it would be transiting Pisces, that is Jupiter and Mercury are the ruling planets. So I fixed it up. But then Jupiter and Mercury would be, Jupiter and Mercury as star lords would be appearing in other zodiac signs as well.
Gemini.
Okay, they'll be appearing in Cancer. Okay, and then they'll be appearing in Scorpio also. And Sun would be crossing all these signs in 1951. Why are we fixing up April? Why?
Is it because of step one?
No, it is not because of step one. It is because of the extraneous factor that I told you.
Okay.
Had it not been for the extraneous factors, then we would have had to look into other things, But extraneous factors, I told you. Okay.
Yeah. Two more alternatives. Yeah.
Please note that Sun I have written also here. Please note that Sun would have been in Gemini in the month of July, and Gemini also gives us Jupiter and Mercury. Okay. Gemini gives us Jupiter and Mercury. Gemini gives us Jupiter and Mercury. Gemini gives us Jupiter. No, I have written it wrongly. I think not Gemini. It should be Cancer. Anyway, which are both ruling planets, but the birth, as stated by the mother, had taken place about 2 weeks after the Holi festival, as I told you, 2 weeks after the Holi festival. Holi in 1951 was celebrated on 21st March. Okay. So our previous identification of Sun in Pisces in April appears as the more probable month. Because the mother had said, that you were born some 10 to 15 days after Holi. So that coincides with our, the Sun being in Pisces, where we are getting Jupiter and Mercury star lords as our ruling planets, and April as the month. As I told you that Holi in India is celebrated either sometimes in March and sometimes in April. So that year, Google told me that, it was celebrated on 21st of March. Okay, celebrated on 21st March. So our previous identification of Sun in Pisces in April appears to be as the more probable month. So April, 21st March, Holi was celebrated, and after, 15 days after Holi, it becomes April. And for April, we are getting Jupiter and Mercury as the star lords in Pisces, where the Sun would be as our ruling planet. So we have to fix up April 1951 as the month of birth. Am I clear? If I am not clear, you please.
Yes, understand that. Clear.
Understand that. Okay. Now step 3. Okay, step 3. To establish the date of birth, we have now to establish the position of the moon. Position of the moon in April 1951. Year we have fixed up as 1951. Month we have fixed up as April 1951. Now we have to fix up the date. So to establish the date of birth, we have to now establish the position of the moon in April 1951 when it would be transiting the sensitive points. Sensitive points means are ruling planets. Okay. From the ephemeris for April 1951, moon was found to be transiting the sensitive points in Pisces, that is Jupiter, Mercury, Venus. Jupiter, Mercury, Venus between 9:56 a.m. up to 14:07 p.m. on 6/4/1951. Okay, on 6/4/1951. Okay, this gave me a time window of about 4 hours within which the lagna and the exact time of birth had to be fixed up. Okay, so the date we have now established, we notice that on 6/4/1951, moon was found to be transiting in Pisces, that is Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, okay, between 9:56 a.m. to 14:07 p.m. Okay, okay. Now you check the ruling planets.
The ruling planets. Mercury, Jupiter, and Moon.
No, there would be more, no?
Venus.
Yeah,
K2.
so that's because I'm mentioning Venus here, no? So the time, when on time, that is on 6/4/1951. This is the date that we have fixed up. Okay, date. Jupiter, moon was transiting Pisces, where we get favorable ruling planets Jupiter, Mercury, Venus between 9:56 a.m. up to 14:05, that is 2:07 p.m. on 6/4/1951. This gave me a time window of about 4 hours within which the lagna and exact time of birth had to be fixed up and a chart to be erected for the established time. Okay. So the date is fixed now. Date is fixed now. So on that date, we have to fix up the time by tracking the movement of the ascendant. Okay. So to find out the moment when and which lagna common with the ruling, every time the ruling planets get renewed. Okay. Again, the ruling planets are in. To find out the moment when and which lagna common with the ruling planets would be transiting the sensitive points. Sensitive points means ruling planets. We have to go to the lagna changing feature of the software and establish the same by identifying the time when lagna would be at the sensitive points, that is RPs. So from 9:56 a.m. the lagna was Gemini. 9:56 a.m. the lagna was Gemini. Okay, on that day, lagna was Gemini, and in this the most sensitive point was found as Gemini, that is Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Moon, which the lagna transited at 11:27:34:061 a.m. This is the time of birth. This coincides with, on that given day, with our strongest ruling planets. This is the movement that we found of the ascendant, which which was on this given point at 11:27 a.m. So this was taken as the time of birth. Please note that we have used Venus as a reserve ruling planet, as Mercury and Jupiter have repeated twice. Mercury and Jupiter, I don't have it open in front of me, so you would be having it open in front of you.
Yeah.
Because Jupiter and Venus have repeated twice. So we used Venus as a reserve ruling planet. Okay. So this is the time that is established, and from that time we have erected this chart. The date of birth was thus established as 6/4/1951, 11:27:34:061 a.m. at Purnia, Bihar, and a birth chart was erected. Okay. This is the birth chart that was erected. I tallied the events. Marriage July 1975 during Venus Moon Rahu. You can reconcile it now. Okay, you can prepare this chart also. I've given the time, everything is there. Promotion of him in service 1977 during Venus Mars Moon. Job May 1975 Venus Moon Mars. House, he purchased a house 1995 Sun Venus Venus. Okay, all these events are tallying. Other events also tallied, but the main emphasis was on how to, establish the date and time of year, date and time of birth. This is how we do it. You can erect this chart in your own computer as per these particulars given here for India. This place of, you find this in that, you can erect this chart, and you can, the events you can match through his dasha, antar dasha. You know how to do it. Now you already, you've been a KP student. So, that's this is how we finalize a chart where nothing is known. Nothing is known to the native. So this is how we do it. Okay. So as you can see, that Mercury is coming here twice as a ruling planet. Okay, Mercury is coming here twice, and Jupiter is again coming here twice. So that gives us a shortage of ruling planets. Shortage of ruling planets, we can get stuck up. So we can use, one or two of the ruling planets as per our need. Okay. So here I have used Venus. This is how, this. But Sophie, this you have to, this you have to, see this, all these, Okay, now what from whatever, just try and tell me. This is what this is. Can you see the cursor? Which zodiac?
Yes,
Which zodiac sign is this?
Aries.
What are the star lords here?
Sorry.
Star lords in Aries.
Star Lord in Aries. Is it Venus?
No, there'll be more than one star lord. No, I'm just asking you. You have to know.
Sorry, I don't get your question, sir.
Nakshatras. How many nakshatras would be present in all the signs?
There are three. There are three in Aries.
Yeah. Then who are the nakshatra lords?
Ketu, Venus, and Sun.
Okay. Then next Taurus. Who are the nakshatra lords?
It's Sun, Moon, and Mars.
Okay. Then Gemini. Who are the nakshatra lords?
Mars, Rahu, and Jupiter.
Okay. And here, then this Cancer.
Cancer start from Jupiter, then Saturn, Mercury.
Okay. Then this cycle again repeats.
Yeah,
okay.
It's three times.
This you have to, and then you have to know the degrees also. Like in Aries, what will be the degree of this Ketu Nakshatra?
Ketu.
What is the extent of one? What is the extent of one nakshatra? How many degrees is one nakshatra? See, this is, actually students, they don't like, learning the basics. They want to learn astrology without knowing the basics. Anyway, I'm just, so I'm just trying to highlight the importance of, you must know that one nakshatra is 13 degrees and 20 minutes. So the first nakshatra of Ketu will be 13. It is Ashwini. Okay, Ashwini. You need not know the name, but you must know that the first nakshatra is of Ketu from 0 degrees to 1320. And the next after Ketu is Venus from 1320 to 2640. And then from 2640 to 30 degrees in Aries would be Sun. Okay. And then from Sun would spill over into Taurus. And since it has, this span of Kritika Nakshatra, Sun's Nakshatra in Aries was only 3 degrees 20 minutes. So the balance of 10 degrees will have to be covered in Taurus. This is how you have to learn, so that without referring to any of your notes, Instantly, if I ask you, okay, tell me in whose nakshatra is Ketu situated, then you should know by looking at the longitude of Ketu that it is in the nakshatra of Venus. Yes, you should know. That is what
Mhm.
I mean. That is very important. Anyway, that you have to do it, that I can't make you learn, you have to learn it yourself. So was this example clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
So this is how this completes our BTR, birth time rectification. All the examples I have shown you. I have one or two examples more, but then that will be just repeating.
Mhm,
I have
mhm.
so many examples, but then see, different type of cases, different type of situations are the same. One, two, three, four. Okay, where nothing is known, only the place of birth is known. Then the next one is where you have to only the year is known. You have to locate the month. You have to locate the month and the date and the time. Then the next one is year and month is known. You have to locate the date and time. And the next one is where the approximate time is known. Everything, the date is known, only the approximate time is known. So you have to correct the time of birth. You have to rectify the time. That is what is called, that is what is BTR. Okay. So, Sophie, so you look very tired today.
Yeah, a bit tired. A bit
Yes,
tired.
I know. I can make out you are having to put in extra effort, to grasp whatever I'm teaching you today.
Yeah.
Yeah, mentally, you can listen to my video again, and
Yes, sir. Yes,
you can
exactly. Yeah.
you can listen.
Uh, sir, let's say for a few more minutes,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I want to understand the importance of Vedic astrology. There are so many books written about Vedic astrologies, and I think they are written not by more like by foreigners, people in the
That's
US.
exactly. So see now, there's so much of confusion. Like in KP, it is just one KP is there. Now even in
Mhm.
KP, new astrologers, they have so many, like ruling planets. Some astrologers they treat more than five. One astrologer takes 9 planets as ruling planets. So the different variants of KP astrology are also coming, but still by and large, KP is just one school of astrology. Similarly, Vedic astrology, there are so many schools and there are so many principles, but see this book. Can you read? Can you read
Cannot
the
say
name?
clearly. Wait, sir, wait. Yeah, system approach. Oh, system approach. For interpreting horoscopes.
See, this
Yeah.
is this is by Mr. V.K. Chaudhary. Okay, this is
Mhm.
by Mr. V.K. Chaudhary. See,
Mhm, mhm.
I follow this school, most simplified and empirically researched. Otherwise, in Indian Vedic astrology, there are thousands and hundreds and thousands of combinations. You'll get so confused. And uh, don't read Indian Vedic astrology written by foreigners. Okay, this Mr. V.K. Chaudhary, I used to know him personally. Also, he is no more now, and I follow his. It is called the systems approach. I follow his Vedic school of astrology, which is pretty accurate. It is pretty accurate, and in fact, I combine both KP and systems approach of Vedic astrology for predictions.
The
Then
more I read,
see,
the more I read the book, the more confusing I
yeah,
am.
that's what I'm telling you. So Vedic astrology, uh, it is very confusing. Then the more number of books you read, more confused you will get. That is very, very true. But then this Vedic systems approach, I also have my set of videos. If you want my set of videos, also I have. But then videos, but then they'll be in mixed Hindi and English. So that is the problem. videos.
Actually, I can watch your YouTube video, sir. I saw lots of YouTube video, but
No, no,
I
no.
don't
But
think I'm gonna learn.
no,
I
you
think
will
I need
not
to.
be able to learn because
Yeah,
in between I speak in Hindi also, and then I speak in English also.
it's
Like
more like forcing myself to learn, sir, when with a teacher rather than with like a computer.
that's true. That's true. So,
Yes.
if you want, if you're interested in Vedic, this is the best school of Vedic astrology. I only follow this school. No other school I follow in Vedic astrology. This is very clear, except timing of events is not as accurate as it is in KP. But other principles of astrology, see, KP is also based on Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology is the basis of Indian astrology. So everything, the nakshatras and
Mhm.
then Vimshotri Dasha system, everything, it is all Vedic only. KP is only the prediction techniques in KP are different from Vedic. But otherwise, the basics are you have to know Vedic astrology, to become an astrologer. You should. But you already learned a lot. But then if you do Indian Vedic astrology, then you'll be a complete astrologer. That's what I mean.
Mhm. Because astrology is like a sacred science, and I mean people will feel if you do it correctly or not. So yeah, one has to be very clear, very knowledgeable
Very,
in
very
order
clear.
to,
Yes.
yeah, before you do the prediction, before you tell
Yeah,
others
yeah,
what
yeah,
may
yeah, yeah.
affect you. Yeah.
Yes.
Until now, only my wife knows that I'm studying astrology. Only
Okay.
my wife. Yeah, I can't hide from her, but I cannot tell other people that I'm doing astrology, you
Okay,
know.
okay. Oh, never mind. Hmm. There's somebody else from Thailand who's been contacting me. I'm forgetting his name. He appears to be interested. Thailand.
Yeah. Yeah, after 1 or 2 years now, at least I have some basic, basic to do more study on my own or to do, yeah. I read more books, at least I understand something.
Hmm.
Compared to 2 years ago, when I tried to do the research on my own, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Luckily, I am persistent enough, otherwise I gave up already. It's not easy. It's not easy in a country where no one is been familiar with this type of astrology.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Though they follow Chinese astrology there.
Chinese astrology, but it's more blah blah blah. It's yeah, there are still believer. There are many believer even
No,
in
but
my.
is it scientific? Like, this it is pretty scientific. KP is pretty scientific. And
I think yeah, it's hard to say, but I don't think it's scientific. It's more like um, psychic. Psychic.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
close your
I know.
eyes, and then something appears. And but the thing is that they can tell you everything. Anything that you would like to know. You can just ask question, and then they will answer everything. I think